everybody, and welcome back to another grocery shopping in Kigali edition. In the last one I was very active and I ran around town visiting lots of grocery stores to show you what they had. And I was going to cover online grocery shopping in that video, but then it got a bit long, so I thought what I'd do is dedicate a different video to online grocery shopping in Kigali. Now, I've got my cup of tea and I'm settling in because there are a few things to know. There are online grocery shops in Kigali. So I'm going to quickly cover the ones that I know about, the main ones that I know about. And then, because this morning I do actually need to do some grocery shopping, I'm going to show you how the main one works that I use. And I'm going to tell you a few tips and tricks that you probably need to know before you try online ordering. Because there are a few little quirks here that you might not be aware of. And yeah, stick around for that. The main online shopping options that I can think of, and this is not going to be exhaustive, but probably the top one, and the one that we're going to be looking at today, is called Tuma 250. They do have a main centre in Kachiru, quite near the National Library and the American Embassy, from where they dispatch home shopping. And I've been using them for a really long time. So in this video, I'm mostly going to talk about the ups and downs of Tuma 250. Another really popular option is the VubaVuba app. So I've spoken about VubaVuba in other videos. They're like our Uber Eats. So if you want to order food delivery from a restaurant to your house in Kigali, you use the VubaVuba app. But VubaVuba also has got a home shopping section. So when you go in, you just go over to Marketplace and you will see the different shops. Now, there are quite a range of different goods in there. I personally don't tend to use it. Firstly, because in the past, when I've kind of done price comparisons, I felt they were a little more expensive for certain things that I use regularly. But also just because I don't have it in me to go through all the different shops. Like, they've got a shop specialising in bread, they've got the Brut store in there, they've got shops specialising in veg and fruit, and then they've got shops specialising in like other things. I just don't have it in me to keep flicking through different shops to find my basket, you know, to find the things that I need on a daily basis. So that's why I quite like Tuma, because everything is just in one place. And also, I'm not a fan of shopping on apps. That's just my personal preference. There are a lot of fantastic shops like Steffi Metz, who does artisanal food, really nice food, and she has an online WhatsApp catalogue, and sometimes I will use that, but generally I'm on my laptop all day every day, so for me to be able to access Tuma on my laptop easily, that's really beneficial for me. So I'm not a big scroller when it comes to my online grocery shopping, but for other people it might be more convenient, so it's finding what you like. There are a couple of other online shops. There's one called Murakali and one called Kanis. I've used Kanis in the past because they do some goods. They do home goods. I think I bought my last washing machine from them and they delivered it, and that was a fine experience. I think I've used Murakali or Kanis. I think it was Murakali to buy a little pressure cooker. So I have used them in the past, but I find that their range of goods for me again is not what I need on a day-to-day basis. So I'll go to them for specialty items. I think Murakali is very good if you have dogs. They have a pet section. It's almost entirely dog food and dog toys rather than cats. And they also have quite a wide baby care range. So if you've got a kid, that might be something that you want to check out. Like I say, Canis for home appliances, they have a few of those online, and I found them to be quite competitive. You might want to go and check those out. Again, I'm only talking about Tuma today, not because this is sponsored, this is not sponsored, but because that's the one that I use pretty much every week. So a couple of quick honourable mentions. I often talk about Q&E, not because they're an online store, but they are a very helpful courier company. So especially if you've just arrived in Kigali, you're not sure where things are yet, you need to buy some groceries, or you need some help finding something, anything, Q&E, Quick and Easy, is a really good number to have. I'll leave the WhatsApp below. If you WhatsApp them, they will send you their prices, but basically you can ask them to find you most things. I always cite the time that I needed a giant sack of wood shavings to try and grow mushrooms, and I had no idea where to get sawdust. I was like, I need sawdust, and they went away, they found out where to get it, how much it cost, and then they delivered it to me. So that's what Q&E does. If you can send them a shopping list of whatever you need, and they'll go to Kimironko or they'll go to the supermarkets and they will bring you what you need. And I think that they're quite affordable for the amazing service that they deliver. Again, not sponsored, just a company that makes my life a lot easier on the day-to-day. So I'll leave that information below. And I think the last one, for anything that you cannot find in the shops here, which is often quite a lot, and anything that is not perishable, AliExpress now delivers to Rwanda. It's very hard to get stuff from Amazon. They don't deliver here. They certainly don't do next day delivery. But AliExpress, you can often find a lot of things on there that they will post at a good rate. Some things are insane. Some things look cheap, and then you see the postage cost and it's like $1 million. You know, you're like, okay, no. But other times you will find something on there for a good price and a good postage price. So I have started to use AliExpress a lot for non-consumable products. So they do work, and when it arrives in the country, they actually do deliver it direct to your door. You usually have to pay the courier something like 1,000. The most I've ever paid is 1,500. I have had something delivered for free, and the courier didn't ask for anything. So I'm not sure how they figure out the pricing of the courier delivery once it's in the country. But yeah, they usually deliver it to your door, which again is incredible. And that's a very recent development over the past couple of years. And it does make life a bit easier. If you're ordering from AliExpress, if you're ordering anything from overseas, keep it below $100. It's 100,000 francs. So about $80 is the import cutoff point, but usually they will let it slide if it's $100 or below. But anything over that, and customs might keep hold of it until you go there and you pay the import tax, which can make your cheap purchase very expensive very quickly. So just don't order anything big online. Anyway, enough said about those. Today I'm going to do a deep dive into Tuma 250. I'm going to take you shopping with me and talk about some of the things you need to know if you're going to go down this route. Okay, so this is the website that I use, tuma250.com, and it's an online shopping store in Kigali. This is what the homepage looks like. So it's quite easily laid out. Across the top you've got fruit and vegetables, groceries, which is canned goods, oils, grains and things like that. Meat, fish and poultry, beverages, breakfast and dairy, which is your jam, bread, milk, yogurt. Although it's a bit confusing, they've got two different categories of milk, so milk and yogurt and milk and other dairy products, which kind of both strike me as similar categories. But chocolate, snacks and biscuits, household needs, personal care, baby products, stationery, and in the other category at the end we've got cigarettes, electronics, pet supplies, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But it's all pretty straightforward, you know, it makes a lot of sense. So when you hover over a category, you can choose a subsection if you like. So if you're in chocolate, snacks and biscuits and you only want to see crisps or chips if you're American, you can click on that and you'll get these. But if you want to see everything under a category, just click the category title at the top and it'll give you everything. If you scroll down, it'll show a certain number of items, quite a few items. But if you scroll to the bottom, you'll then see more pages. So you can click to the next page and just keep scrolling. It can sometimes take a second because our internet can be here and there. Depending on your internet speed, depends how quickly this is going to load. So yeah, I mean, it works in a pretty intuitive way. There's no great mystery to how to browse this website. So usually if you're buying beef, you'll get the option as to whether or not to buy 500 grams or a kilogram. So often there's an additional choice to be made. I'm actually going to get some beef. I don't cook meat at home, but I do sometimes buy it for the cats. So add 500 grams of that. For my little obligate carnivores. So yeah, usually you can just click add to basket or add to cart. And that will add it to your shopping cart. But sometimes if there's, say, a choice, like a different flavour choice, or, you know, you have to decide on the weight that you want, then it will give you a select options button. So for example, here with Gorilla Crisps, you can click select options. And then you need to choose which flavour you want. Chicken, pizza, chili tomato and barbecue beef. I actually really like these. They remind me of crisps we used to get in the UK called Knick Knacks, and they're just, yeah, they're quite nice. So yeah. And then next to that, you get to choose how many packs you want. But if you just add one to your shopping cart, and then you realise that you need more, you just click on the shopping cart and again you get to increase the number that you've ordered. So that's quite useful. And also when you hover over something, you usually get a quick view button, and that just tells you a bit more about the product. So if you click on quick view, you get the product information. So yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. Couple of quick things that you do need to know if you're not used to shopping in Rwanda. First off, when you're buying fruit and veg, it's very, very common that you're buying fruit and veg per piece. Oh my goodness, I ordered a pineapple and the pineapple is bigger than my head. And this is a really fresh one. You can see they've literally just taken it off the stalk. It is the biggest pineapple I have ever had. So when you order fruit and veg here, it's not usually done by weight, it's done per piece. And you know, sometimes you get a massive piece of vegetable and sometimes you get a small piece of vegetable, and you never know till it gets here. I've just had a delivery of beetroots, and last time they arrived there were 4 of them and they were really big. And this time there's 3 of them and they're small and very squishy. So paying the same amount, but definitely not receiving the same amount or the same quality. That's very common in European supermarkets, British supermarkets as well, is you tend to buy vegetables by the weight. But often with online shopping, you're buying it per piece. So here you've got cauliflower, so you buy 1 piece for 1,200. I've bought red cabbage and it's been the size of my head, and the last one I got was about the size of my hand. So I'm buying it per piece rather than by weight. Usually it averages out, but sometimes you're sitting there thinking, don't know about that. And also, you know, quality. If you're standing in a supermarket, you can pick up a piece of fruit or veg that you're planning to buy. You can inspect that and you can make sure that it is the right quality. I have had things delivered in the past, broccoli especially, and also oranges have sometimes been a little bit bruised when they've arrived. And of course, you don't know that until you've actually started unpacking. So if you're really, really into your fruit and veg, you might prefer to go and buy that in a supermarket. But on the whole, I would say that, you know, what I get from Tuma is majority fine. Now, today, as I'm scrolling through this site, I think they've probably just had a recent shipment arrive of goods, because pretty much everything listed appears to be available. But there have been many times in the past where I've been onto the website and it has just been so low on stock, where, you know, sometimes the majority of the items listed are not available. And, you know, supply chains here can be a bit hit and miss. Things are coming across very large distances. I've talked about this before, is it's not just about shipping things to the ports in Dar or in Mombasa. You've then got to get those onto lorries and drive them all the way across to Central Africa. It's tough to get stuff here, and sometimes, you know, friends with shops have told me in the past, you know, sometimes their shipments get delayed. They get held at the port for, you know, months sometimes. That used to happen a lot with pet food, is the shipment would come in and it would just get stuck at the port, either due to customs issues or lack of staffing, or people just forgot about it and misplaced the paperwork. So sometimes you can come onto these websites, and don't be surprised if you see a lot of stuff that's out of stock. But at the moment it's looking pretty good. No Kinder Bueno and no rice wafers, but everything else looks pretty much available. Okay, so a really important one to know is when you go to buy beer in supermarkets in Rwanda, or Fanta Citron, Coke, you are supposed to return the glasses, the bottles, because we recycle those, and it's a really good system. I think this is a system, we used to have it in the UK a long time ago. My mum still has it for milk bottles. Her milk gets delivered to the door and they recycle the milk bottles, but it's become so much less common now in places like the UK. You know, all of the glass has been replaced by plastic, most of which isn't recyclable. So the bottle system here is a really good one. And often when you first arrive and you're in your house and you go out to buy some beer, you will have to pay a little bit extra because you're buying the beer and the bottle. But from that point on, when you return the bottle, you can either get cash back for returning empty bottles and not buying more, or you just get a discount because you're returning the bottle and you're buying the beer without needing more bottles. And it's the same with online shopping. So I've actually got a stack of beer bottles by my door, and whenever I want to buy beer, I just find the right size bottle and the right brand. Here we go. You can either say that you're returning the bottle or with bottle. That can be confusing. It's worded very badly, and sometimes the wording changes around, like sometimes the wording's a bit confusing, but basically whenever you're looking at a page for beer, the cheaper option is what you pay if you're giving them back a bottle in return. And if you haven't got any bottles, it's okay, but you're going to pay a little bit extra because you're paying for the bottle as well. And also, you know, if you're breaking a bottle, if you've got an empty bottle and you've broken it, you can't return that. And the other thing is you can only really return brand for brand. So if it's a Mutzig bottle you want to buy, you have to return the same size Mutzig bottle. If you want to buy a Primus, same size Primus bottle. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's kind of environmentally friendly because it just means that the bottles keep going round in circulation, which I think is a really good thing. So eggs is another one that you need to know about. There are two types of eggs, both in the shops and online. An igi is an egg, amagi is eggs, plural, and Amagi Nyarwanda is, or I always thought it was Amagi Murwanda, but no, I guess Amagi Nyarwanda is written here. But that is the Rwandan egg. And you have the Rwandan egg and you have sort of like the foreign egg, or the brown egg. So local eggs are usually a bit smaller and they're white. And the foreign eggs are brown and a bit larger. So the brown eggs are like the ones that you would be used to seeing in Europe, probably America as well. Now, most of the time I don't think they're battery farmed, but they are deep litter farmed, which is kind of similar. It's quite cramped conditions. It used to be that the Rwandan eggs, when I first arrived 20 odd years ago, they were local chickens wandering around the neighbourhood that just laid their eggs, and those would get sold in your local shop. Nowadays, I don't know. Nowadays, I suspect they're probably deep litter farmed as well. I don't know. I always in my heart used to associate Rwandan eggs with being a bit more free range. But I don't know about that anymore. I don't know enough about poultry farming. If you do, let me know below. There did used to be a place, the Green Side of Life, or Bugasera Nurseries, just out of town, that used to sell free-range eggs. I don't know if they still do. But nowadays, it's the brown eggs or the local white eggs. I would like to think the white eggs are a little bit more humane. I doubt that they really are, but I still tend to prefer the Rwandan eggs. They are smaller and slightly more expensive, but for me, I always feel like they've got a better flavour, a better look about them. There's been several times when I've bought the brown eggs and the white of the egg has been like water. It's not been, I don't know, it just doesn't strike me as a great egg. Not all of them, some of them are perfectly fine. But the little Rwandan ones I find tend to, I don't know, there's something a bit more satisfying about them. Personally, I like the local eggs more, but the brown ones are perfectly okay as well. So it's just a matter of preference really. But what you also need to know is, same as when you're ordering the beer, is when you're buying your eggs, you can choose to buy them in bulk and either return the tray for a discount or not return the tray. And the only thing that I'd say is that the tray is made of cardboard, and whereas I think this is a great initiative, I think it's great that they reuse the cardboard trays, there have been a couple of instances where I've received my fresh eggs in my tray and the tray has had an unhygienic amount of crusted broken egg in the bottom of it. I don't think there is any hygienic amount of crusted broken egg, but yeah, I have questioned the sanitation of that in the past. I think it's a good in principle, but in practice, I don't know about that. But you know, other than that, not much else to say about eggs. With the bread, I tend to buy the brown bread, and there are some good options here. I think they also have brewed. Yep, you can buy brewed tin brown bread. So if you want the nice loaves that we saw when we went to the supermarkets, the nice brewed loaves, you need to go and buy those in the shop, but you can get the tinned brown bread online. I like to go for the Woodland Safa brown bread. I find it's just a really fluffy, normal brown sandwich bread. But yeah, there's a couple of options there. Something I do find a bit tricky with this website is that the search function isn't always great. So for instance, if I type in milk, amata, you would expect like liquid milk to be the first thing that appears at the top of the search. Maybe if I spell it correctly, that might help. How can I misspell milk? But yeah, the problem is when you type in milk, milk is not the first thing that comes up. First, you've got to get through Cadbury's dairy milk. Nido is powdered milk. Wow. Oh my goodness, sorry, I've just noticed that. When I first arrived in Rwanda, there was no liquid milk available in most shops. Like supermarkets didn't have it because they didn't have refrigeration. So you always bought Nido milk powder. I mean, I lived off Nido milk powder for 2 years. And it was about 5,000 francs for a tin of Nido. Look at this! It's selling for 91,000 francs, and the one next to it 57,000 francs. I mean, it's 2.5 kilos, but still, I mean, that is just insanity. Does anybody actually buy that? Has anybody ever paid 91,000 francs for a tin of Nido? What the hell is that? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items along before you actually get to milk, and that comes after Bounty. Coconut chocolate comes before milk. I mean, I do find the search on this can be a bit problematic. See, and that's the actual milk that I would buy. UHT whole milk, and that's like more than halfway down the page. So the search function on this is not great. So if you don't see what you're looking for immediately, sometimes you have to scroll and scroll just to be sure that it isn't in there, because it probably is in there. But it can take a minute to find it. Look, here's another one. Nestle Nido milk powder, 1.8 kilogram, 67,500 francs. What planet are we living on? Just whilst we're on the subject of questionable pricing structures, this one made me laugh the other day. So they're out of stock at the moment, but Snickers bars, they sell individually online for 1,500, but they've got a multi-pack where you can get 3 in a multi-pack, 3 pieces of Snickers for 8,400. Figure that one out. So 3 Snickers cost, what, 4,500 francs, but if you buy them together, it costs almost double that. Like, how is that a thing? But I did used to think that shopping online would be more expensive. But the more that I go around the actual physical stores, the more I don't think it is. Like, we went to Sour City the other day and I commented that the bounties there were 2,500. When I buy them online, they're 1,500. So it's actually pretty rare that I go to a physical store anymore. Occasionally I'll pop into Christel's supermarket, which is a supermarket in the petrol station opposite the British Embassy, because it's very close to my house. So if I pop in to top up my bike with petrol, I'll often do a quick shop in there. And sometimes I will deliberately drive down to Patel's just because they've got Bombay mix and other food that I like that you can't find in other supermarkets. I just need a change of pace. But other than that, it's very, very rare that I actually go into a supermarket anymore, because this to me is so convenient. And having been into the supermarkets and then looking at the prices on Tuma, the prices on Tuma are good. I think they're very competitive. So to check out, you just look at your cart, click the little cart button in the top right, and then proceed to checkout. What you can do here is you can create an account, so you can hit login and register. And to register, I think you just enter your email and it will send you the details. Because I already have an account with them, I'm just going to log in. And when you've got an account, it remembers your details. So I'm just going to go back through to checkout. So just looking at my account, my billing address and shipping address are the same. Even though I'm paying with a UK card, I've put my billing address and shipping address as the same thing on their system, and that's fine. It doesn't cause a problem. Do make sure that you put a working telephone number in there, because they are going to call you if there's a problem or if they get lost. They're actually quite good with me. We WhatsApp each other, so if there's a problem, they tend to WhatsApp me and let me know. Like if they need to make a substitution or they're running late. So you can also select a delivery slot. So they've got morning, midday and afternoon slots. I believe that if you order before 9 p.m, they will deliver the same day. It used to be earlier. It used to be something like 7 or 8, but it's now 9 p.m. If you get your order in before then, they will deliver same day. So you can choose a delivery window. If you don't, I tend to find that they deliver within the next 2 hours, often a lot quicker, sometimes a little bit longer, usually within 2 hours after placing my order. If you've got any additional notes, put them under order notes. This is quite useful if you live somewhere that is hard to find. So if your house is off the beaten track, maybe give them a little bit of a heads up of how to find you. Or if you have a housekeeper who's going to take delivery, let them know that so that they know it's okay to give your groceries to that person. On the right hand side, it will list what you're ordering. Just double check everything. Make sure it's all what you thought you were ordering and that you haven't forgotten anything. And then they tend to charge 1,800 for same day delivery. But if your order is over 50,000, it's usually free same day delivery. It's a bit cheaper for next day delivery, but not not significant. Or you can store pickup, and like I say, I think the store is next to the National Library, behind the American Embassy, so you can go and pick it up if you like. And then you choose your method of payment. Now you can pay by Momo. If you're paying by Momo, they give you the business code to use. If you're not sure what Momo is, I did a video about that. It's an old video, I'm sorry. The video and the audio is terrible, but it explains how to use Momo. So you can pay by Momo, and if you do that, you just need to send them your order ID or your proof of payment ID, transaction ID, one of those things. Put the ID in this box. You can also pay by POS machine. So if you've got a card, they can bring the payment machine to you. That can be useful. I often use that if I've accidentally selected the wrong payment method. Like I mean to pay by card, but I accidentally selected Momo. Then they will bring the POS and I can just pay on my gate with that, providing the network's working. Sometimes the network is a bit dodgy. Or you can pay by cash. For me, I always select debit card, so I tend to pay with an international card, no problem. And then you just go through, place your order and pay for it, and yeah, you're done. And then from that point on, it's over to WhatsApp, and they send me a message when the order has been shipped, and they'll send me a message when the driver is at my door. When you take delivery of your goods, I tend to do it at my gate, and I have like a big carry basket, and I just transfer everything from their basket into my basket. Don't forget that if you've ordered beer, you need to give them back the bottles, and you need to give them back the egg tray if you're returning those things. And then they'll give you a copy of your receipt, and usually, providing the drivers remember to bring a pen, you will sign that you've got everything. I always sign and just let the driver go about his business because he's busy, he's got things to do. But they do say to check all of your things before you sign for them. I don't feel that's always practical. Sometimes it's late at night, it's dark, I can't see everything. And often I feel bad for the driver who's got to stand around for an extra sort of 10 minutes whilst I go through everything. But I know Tuma very well now, and we've got a bond of trust. So later on, if I find that the wrong thing's being delivered, I can contact them and they will bring me the right thing. This does happen from time to time. There have been cases, especially if they have a new driver who isn't too sure what they're doing. Sometimes the attention to detail isn't great. I think the worst was the time I ordered cat food, and you'd think this would be an easy one because there's a picture of a cat on the tin. And he brought me dog food with a picture of the dog on the tin. Another one, I ordered condensed milk, which comes in a little can, and instead I got a box of coconut milk powder. I'm not sure how they quite managed that one, but I think the guy was maybe just a bit rushed, a bit pushed for time, and he wasn't really paying attention. So often you do get that happening. They are supposed to contact you if they need to make a substitution. They don't always. So, stay on good terms with them and communicate by WhatsApp. If you get the wrong order or something's damaged and you discover after you start to unpack, providing you tell them as soon as possible, send them a photograph, it's usually fine. They'll come and sort that out. Occasionally, they have things in the morning and they don't have them in the afternoon. This happens a lot with the Giperi, which is the Cape gooseberries. Often they'll have a delivery of that in the morning, then they'll sell out, and then they won't have more until the next day. So if you're ordering those in the afternoon, they might contact you, or with bread, if the bread isn't fresh, they might contact you and say, we haven't got it now, can we bring it tomorrow morning? Usually 9 times out of 10 that isn't a problem for me, but it can be a bit frustrating. It happens in the UK. If you've got Tesco deliveries, sometimes it can happen, that they don't have the product you've ordered, but they can bring it at a later date or substitute it for you. Up to you. If it's inconvenient and you're not going to be around, you can ask them just to refund. And usually a good compromise is they'll give you credit for your next shop. So, you can have the money back, usually by Momo, but also you can just ask them to credit your account with that amount and they'll take it off the next shop. So I think those are the main points you need to be aware of when you're shopping online. I personally find it extremely convenient because I remember what it was like before we had any online shopping. I remember what it was like before we had Tuma. I remember what it was like before we had ATM machines in the country. So to me, this is magic. This is witchcraft. And I am most of the time very happy with them, and when there are problems we work it through. I think the thing you do need to know in Rwanda is it's a very small city and there are very few providers of anything, so as far as possible try and work it out with your providers, because if you burn all the bridges, you haven't got anywhere to buy anything. So just remember that. Top tip for when you're having a Mzungu meltdown, which we all have from time to time. Been there. But yeah, on the whole, I like Tuma 250. They make my life easier, as do Q&E. They really make my life a lot easier. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you use them, let me know what your experience is below. Any other tips for people starting out on their online buying journey that I haven't mentioned, leave them below. Yeah, happy shopping.